So what makes you move from traditional business to technology?
My wife started a business with one coffee shop in Lahore. And in 2003, at that time, there were no coffee shops in Lahore. So the conventional business is very different from this business that we have moved to. The tech business, as you may have spoken to other people, is disruptive. Shark Tank has actually inspired a lot of people. I think the main reason was that I was pleasantly surprised to see the production of it, like many other people. Lots of people are going to turn into entrepreneurs in the next 5 to 10 years with AGI, the artificial intelligence shift and everything. But then this could also bring in a few people who are fit for jobs to leave their jobs early and come to this side.
The government and these companies are unable to follow up creating jobs for all these people, so people need to create their own jobs anyway at some point.
Yes, actually this transition is going to be very interesting in the next 5 to 10 years.
And how do you choose your startup? Besides the founder, I know that every early investment, it's more about the founder or the team, but is there any other criterias or?
So one of the criterias that we have kept for our syndicate, and most of the people have kept, that the founders need to keep in mind, is that we would not invest into a company which has zero revenue. But we're open to all kinds of sectors. We're looking at gaming in Pakistan, so it's a good sector. France.
That can be easily exported also, the gaming sector.
It's easily exported.
But what is your general assessment of the ecosystem now?
For the founders and for the investors, 2025 is going to be a good year, and 2026 is going to be even better. That's what I think. Nobody can predict about 2027. It's difficult to predict. I know someone who says that the definition of long-term, medium-term, and short-term have changed, especially vis-a-vis Pakistan and the Gulf region. Things are, the geopolitical environment is changing, and that has an impact on everything.
Welcome to this new episode of Fossil Podcast. I'm having Sikandar with me today. Thank you very much, Sikandar, to be part of this podcast this morning. Thank you for coming. It's like a Ramadan day. Coming at 11. I wanted a little bit to introduce yourself. Who are you? And then inshallah we'll go deep in some questions, technical questions and about the ecosystem.
Thank you so much for inviting me to your podcast. It's a pleasure to meet you. I'm CEO and general partner of 22 Ventures, which is an angel investor syndicate. We have syndicate members based out of Saudi Arabia, Dubai and USA. And we're incorporated in Islamabad, and we are also planning to open an office in Dubai very soon, inshallah. So what we do is that in this syndicate, we try to examine deals specifically with regards to the ecosystem in Pakistan, and we review deals individually. And the members who want to participate in a deal, they come in and we make the investment. And the ones who don't want to participate can back out. I am leading the syndicate because predominantly our area of investment or focus is Pakistan and MENA. And when you say MENA, it actually is essentially the Gulf region, Dubai and Riyadh, because they are Dubai is already very developed ecosystem there, and Riyadh is coming up. There's a lot of gap there. So Riyadh, a lot of companies locally are expanding into Riyadh. They're opening their divisions there, and lots of Pakistani companies going there now. So
I've been to Leave this year, and I've seen this movement happening.
There's a lot happening in Riyadh. There's a lot of margin, you see. I see Dubai has developed in the last 10, 15 years.
Already, yeah.
Yeah, everything has been done, the DIFC and everything. So if you go there, want to incorporate the company, the barriers to entry in Dubai, setting up a company and the ease of doing business is a lot easier as compared to Riyadh. I'm talking to people in Riyadh, it's not that easy. Things are a little more complicated, but they're doable. Lots of companies have incorporated in the last 1 year in Riyadh. And
there is some stories about licensing. You need to borrow a license at first from someone to be able to run the activity, then have your own. And
Exactly.
There is some stuff
there
like
there
that.
are some. It's not something that's not manageable, but it's not as easy as Dubai. People tend to compare. We all tend to compare Riyadh with Dubai.
Yeah, it's not like Dubai. It's not the same.
It's not the same. But then, if you look at the size of the market, Riyadh is going to be a huge future market, and there's going to be a lot of automation. There's going to be a lot of stuff that has to be done, that needs to be done. So there's a lot of opportunity there.
Right. We were just like talking earlier on off from the camera, and you were like an electrical engineer. You've been running the traditional business, or I mean like food business of your family. You run also another business in gas. So what makes you move from traditional business to technology? What happened?
Okay, I did my engineering from NUST, which is Islamabad. I did my electrical engineering and then went to London. So I was originally a banker in ABN AMRO. You may have heard it's a Dutch bank. They're no longer in Pakistan. Got converted into Royal Bank of Scotland when they left. So originally an investment banker and turned entrepreneur. We started. My wife started a business with one coffee shop in Lahore, and in 2003. At that time, there were no coffee shops in Lahore. So that turned out well. So we opened another one, and we opened a third one. Things got serious. And then I had to quit my job, and then we incorporated the other company, Gasolines, and we started putting up gas stations with Total and Shell, and started selling our gas also. The compressed natural gas, which is a business, which used to be a business in Pakistan, is no longer. So the conventional business is very different from this business that we have moved to. But the challenges there are totally different. That's more of a physical business, hands-on. You got to be down there, and you have outlets, and you have a proper system. You have to have an organization. The tech business, as you may have spoken to other people, is disruptive, and this I've always liked this disruptive part. The Uber comes in, and all the taxi drivers and everybody goes out. Initially, it's very disturbing for the. I remember going to USA at a time, and Uber was coming in, all these taxi drivers, unions, and they were just gathering and getting together, and they were talking to the mayor and something that we'll go on strike and we don't like Uber and everything. But eventually, technology prevails. If you have a good idea or some good,
it will win.
It will win
at the end.
Whether you like it or not, it's
a reality.
It's a reality. They did, and then Kareem, and then InDrive, and now there's Lyft, and there's so many others. So technology disruption was something that I was attracted to and
passionate about. Okay.
And I thought that the conventional business became a little boring, actually. To be honest, I thought this business was more interesting. And there was a lot happening, and Pakistan was at the right juncture 2 years back, 2 to 3 years back. We saw a lot of investment in 2022, which went down in 2023 and 2024. But that's global. 2022 was a good year for Pakistan, 50 million, and then we went down to 74 million in 23, and further down. But I think that 2025 is going to be a much better year than the others. The interest rates are down, the inflation is down, so everything seems to be in order. Just the right time for the startups and the ecosystem to come back on track. I'm a regular visitor of NIC Islamabad, the National Incubation Center in Islamabad. All the NICs are doing a great job. I'm more familiar with the Islamabad one. They're doing a wonderful job. They are, bringing in people, and they're doing the job of funneling people, filtering people, and bringing to their various cohorts. They have their cohort 1, 2, but they run about, I think, 3 or 4 cohorts in a year. That's what I think.
So this is your pipeline?
Yeah. So this is where we start. So from NIC Islamabad, I know that from the recent cohorts, 2 companies have gone to Shark Tank Pakistan, something we need to talk about. It's a wonderful platform.
I was having Faisal yesterday with me.
Yes. Yes. So Shark Tank is a wonderful platform.
Yeah, and also it encourages the youth to go to struggle to go that extra mile. That I think that it's a little bit sometimes missing in the work culture in Pakistan.
Shark Tank has actually inspired a lot of people. I think the main reason was that I was pleasantly surprised to see the production of it, like many other people. We thought it would be, not as good
like
as
international level,
the international or the Indian level. We've been watching Shark Tank, for the last 2 to 3 years. Shark Tank India very closely. Most of the community in Pakistan have.
Right.
So, and the way the format is, they also explain and give definitions of what venture capital is, what is component, what is a basic investment.
We need to educate the market.
Yes, CM contribution margin 1, CM1, GP. So it's a very educative program overall. So the Shark Tank India production was very good, and I've been watching it too, and I was very concerned how this one is going to turn out. Pleasantly surprised that Shark Tank Pakistan, the production team has done a great job in terms of bringing in the company.
I've seen it,
They've done. And like you were mentioning, it's been a great source of inspiration for all of these people, for all the young boys who are 12 and 13, who we've actually. There are going to be a lot of entrepreneurs 5 to 10 years down the road, given that artificial general intelligence, which I think we'll talk about, is coming in. There'll be a lot of displacement of jobs. The existing jobs are not we are going to lose some jobs, but then there are going to be more jobs that are going to be created. The type of jobs are going will change. So for that, a lot of people will go from the work culture, working for a corporate organization. Like I used to work for a bank, and I worked for a little while after my electrical engineering in a Swedish company called Ericsson, very short, and then I had a call from the business school. So a lot of people from the corporate culture are going to move to the this entrepreneurship side, and for that, for those people, Shark Tank has been a wonderful platform. It's a paid platform where you can apply, where you can get educated, and the format is very good. Those people really don't know. Sharks don't really know what the company is, how is it. Normally their pitches are about, what we see is about 10 minutes on TV, but normally they're about 1 hour long. And then they follow through. The average rate, I think, is about 40 to 50% internationally of these deals actually converting. Because subsequent to the closure and handing over the check, they need to go back and check, do the due diligence part. The numbers are right. So in Pakistan, they're foreseeing that the deals are going to be a little less than 40%, maybe 25-30%. That's a good number. And again, the main thing is that Shark Tank has been a very educative platform. So
it's needed,
It was just the right time for Pakistan. And apart from and then Shark Tank, we have other platforms like 92 Disrupt in Karachi, run by Jahan Ara Catalyst Lab. They do a great job. They do a conference every year. Then there's Park Launch, a San Francisco-based community which is promoting Pakistani startups, and they're connecting them generally with the international diaspora. Diaspora and international investors, the Antler and the Kleiner Perkins and the entire people in San Francisco. So they occasionally hold unconference. They call their conferences as unconference. So these which is interesting.
It's disruptive.
It's disruptive, I think. The only reason they call it on-conference is the format is very different. It's not like a typical conference.
Right.
So these platforms are doing a great job, and Shark Tank is great. So we hope that 2025 is going to be, and 2026, both years are going to be very good for.
But I felt that I'm in the MENA region also for a while. I'm from Morocco. I've been working with Moroccan entrepreneurs from Morocco in the diaspora. I've been in Egypt. I'm working with an investment fund in Egypt, by the way, which is also trying to educate angel investments in the region. Because I think you will be on the same point of view that angel investment is lacking in the region. There is not that first check that can help the entrepreneur or the tech company or startup do that first steps before having maybe more capital, grants or VC or so.
That's very true. Angel investors in Pakistan are also very fragmented, and we don't have those kind of angel lists where or those angel clubs where people can collaborate, come together, form syndicates, and operate formally and more formally. They're very fragmented, they're divided, and in the venture capital industry in the world, the playbook, the angel investors, like you said, they come before the VCs clearly. But between angel is pre-seed and seed. In Pakistan, actually, I was hearing some VC partner saying that the angel investment, the pre-seed and seed, these three have just merged. They've become one. So there's no really distinction between these three. All three have merged.
Just in Pakistan? Or in the region in general?
Actually, in the region, I think also. I'm not very familiar with what's happening in the MENA region. I think there would be more distinction there, but particularly about the Pakistani ecosystem, the last 3 years that we've seen, these three
merged.
They've merged: angel, pre-seed, and seed. So we can all call them early stage.
Early stage.
And one of the reasons is what you exactly said, that there's no formal way where these angel investors can sort of get together, meet clubs, so it is very informal.
Share opportunities.
Share opportunities. There are some venture capital groups which there's a small association also, Venture Capital Association of Pakistan, CAP. But there's no association of that sort with angels. So that there's a gap there. So, like you said, that angel investors not being there or not being there to write that angel check. Because the name angel investment comes from that angel check. Somebody just comes and you have an idea and they just give you a check, sort of give you a boost so that you can reach the pre-seed level or the seed level where a VC starts looking at you. Because unless your idea is at a certain level and you have certain numbers, the VCs don't start taking interest in you.
Yes, of course,
so clearly there is a gap there, like you mentioned in Egypt.
So that's what triggers you to create that syndicate? How do you create it?
Yes, we saw this gap in the market and we thought that it was good to bring people from... most of the syndicate members are Pakistanis, but they're based out of Pakistan.
Mainly diaspora.
Yeah, mainly diaspora. But we now talking to somebody in North America. We may have somebody from that region also, somebody who's US based. So our syndicate is open. Other angels can also join us, and we can jointly invest and review deals. That's the gap that we're trying to cover, because when we go to NICs, we see all these young co-founders and founders trying to initially, create this idea or augment it to a certain level. I think they need support, and the support can come in two forms. They need that initial bit of financial
money
support, and they also need coaching. I think the mentorship and the coaching is also the bigger part. I would say 30-70. 70% is mentorship, 30%. Because if they have an idea, they don't know what to do with it, how to implement it. Every founder is not an executor. Every good founder, you can have very good founders who's not good at execution, so they need to find somebody who sort of supports that. So the coaching part, I think, is more important. That's what I like, actually, talking to the young people. As I said earlier, lots of people are going to turn into entrepreneurs in the next 5 to 10 years with AGI, the artificial intelligence shift and everything. But then this could also bring in a few people who are fit for jobs to leave their jobs early and come to this side. So sometimes we also advise those companies that your idea is good but you are going to find it very difficult to find funding for this because sometimes the burn rate is too high. So the angels don't want to come in. When the angels don't want to come in, they don't reach the level where VCs start taking interest. So basically, we have to politely tell them that it's better that shut down this company, or it's in the nascent stage. You close this and start working on another idea. Or in some cases, you have to politely tell them to go back and work for a little while. It's important to work, sort of be in a corporate work or any environment. That helps. I worked for 5 years in a bank, so I learned a lot. Yeah, of course. Another thing that we are going to challenges we're going to face is that since more and more people are going to be entrepreneurs because of artificial intelligence and this change coming, so the the preparatory ground, which was the corporate world or these companies, these blue chip corporates, local companies, blue chip large houses like Packages and Shahad and all these blue chip companies, Diwan Salman and in Karachi, they are going to, the jobs are going to reduce. So these learning grounds and these platforms are also going to face issues. If the jobs are going to reduce, then the learning, the overall number of people who can go to these corporates and then come out becoming founders 5 or 10 years later are also going to reduce. Because the essential profile of a founder in Pakistan or India that you see, I would say the same about the MENA region. There's somebody who has worked 2 to 5 years in a company.
In corporate, exactly.
In the corporate world. And most of the unicorn founders that you see, they worked in, they're from good universities. And you don't necessarily have to be from good university, but they have worked in the corporate world and they've, seen, restructured those companies, management consultancy, McKinsey, etc. Companies like Bazaar and Karachi. So when the jobs are going to reduce, there's going to be a challenge. The learning ground is going to reduce, it's going to shrink. So you need to sort of figure out, but it will, things adapt, people
But
adapt.
even with the population growing like crazy, especially in Pakistan and emerging markets, the government and these companies are unable to follow up creating jobs for all these people. So people need to create their own jobs anyway. At some point.
Yes, actually, this transition is going to be very interesting in the next 5 to 10 years. People have to create their own jobs, and they have to create them, as early as 2 years out of the corporate world. Previously, it used to be they used to work for 5 or 7 years.
5, 10 years.
Now that cycle is going to reduce 2 years, and then you got to go. And most of the when we are investing in a company, we at least for myself. We invest in the jockey, we invest in the founder more than the idea. The idea has to be good, but there are very good ideas. An idea without implementation and a strong founder is nothing. It is no use.
Exactly.
So we have to look at the founders. I would refer to Shark Tank India. They specifically, lots of people say that, we think that your company, your idea is average, but you are a very good founder, so I will invest in your company. I think you will do something in life,
with it. You're gonna manage it with it. Okay, so and this angel investors network, I guess you build it, so you manage to have all your network of people in business and are interested in technology. Maybe also they love or passionate about disruption like you. Because I think there's also education problem even between the businessman or people who are in business for a long time. They prefer to be in traditional business because it's safer sometimes, because the investment in technology also it's a little bit risky, so you need to be bolder and you need also to have that education, as I said, to how is angel investment working, because it's not that simple and it's really different from the investment in traditional business. Talking about due diligence, you're talking about how you are managing the relationship with the startup, the mentoring and everything. So there's it needs another skills to.
You're very right. That part is kind of missing. In my first year of investment, whatever you said can be summed up in a question that somebody asked me once from an incubator.
Right.
CEO of an incubator asked me a very good question. Sometimes the investment is ready, but the investor is not ready. That's exactly what you're trying to say, that you have the money from the conventional business, you want to invest, but the investor is not ready, because we don't want to moving from the conventional business to this business, we are generally risk averse. We take very calculated risks.
Exactly.
So, and in the VC world, the entire playbook is very different. It's a minimum 7 to 10 year investment. There's no quick money or getting out of it in 2 years. Prior to this, we had some private equity people we saw. I have my senior bankers who've been doing this. So private equity playbook is also very different from this. The ticket size is larger generally, and they want to move out of a company in 5 years. But in the VC world, you can back a company maybe 3 times, 4 times till they go into an IPO, and maybe you stay with them forever, for 10 or 15, 20 years. But the private equity people want to move out within 3 to 5 years.
Right.
They normally take up companies which are weak and they turn them around and move out. So the playbooks are very different, and like you said, that education or that readiness, investor readiness is a problem, and that gap is there. That is something that can only come with time, I think. The angel investors, and there's another group called the Indus Entrepreneurs, Thai. You may have heard of. They're a global group, and they have Thai chapters in New York, San Francisco, London, everywhere. They're active here, but that's generally comprising of people who are conventional entrepreneurs.
Right.
Now they've also started looking at people who are into startups as well. So it's only through these communities like Park Launch and the Indus Entrepreneurs and these conferences that I mentioned, and some of it that we have to leapfrog into the idea of getting the investor ready, because this is a risky business. If you want to come into this playbook for 2 years or 3 years, then this is not your play. Please stay out of it and stay in the conventional business. I'm also, if I can completely answer your question,
right.
I'm not sure how education can help here. The academic institutions have already started giving some knowledge about the venture capital. Like I studied venture capital in the year 2000 when I was in London. So, it was a very small chapter that we covered. But now there are, I think, more sessions. There are at least about 10 sessions. Maybe there's a VC course I'm not aware of. So the academic institutions and the universities can also help, teach and impart education, formal education.
Right.
But then that doesn't make you investor ready, because you're studying in a business school. You're primarily trying to get a job. Or if you are generating second or third generation into business, and you come to a business school to sort of improvise and improve your ideas, improve yourself, and be innovative, that again doesn't help. That's something that's going to come with time. It's going to challenge. It's a challenge with the state. So I guess I have to.
Because I'm wondering. It's an open question. I was wondering how we can contribute to better education for future angel investor, because I think that they have a gap to close anyway in the ecosystem to enable those startups not dying in the egg. I will say. I will say. And how do you choose your startup? Beside the founder, I know that every early investment, it's more about the founder or the team. But is there any other criterias or?
Primarily, it starts with the founder and the idea. It's the two things. And then every founder who comes through these NICs and through these other platforms to us, they sometimes approach you on LinkedIn directly. Most of them have done some work. So one of the criteria that we have kept for our syndicate, and most of the people have kept, that the founders need to keep in mind, is that we would not invest into a company which has zero revenue. A lot of people come with an idea and say that, please fund our idea.
No pre-revenue.
So no pre-revenue. Pre-revenue is, I would say, very risky in Pakistan. Because some people come with very good ideas, fantastic ideas, robotics and mechatronics, and we're trying to create this AI robot, we're going to do this and that.
But it needs investment.
But it needs this kind of investment to reach a level to get the first product out. So that's where it becomes very tricky, because you don't know, then you're totally blindfolded, you see. So you don't invest into companies. So if you start looking at, the companies that approach us with zero revenue, and you bring in that criteria that they have to at least have 3 to 6 months of some revenue and product ready, and they have to be in the market, then your sample size also reduces, and we can pick and choose from that. Otherwise, it's the whole world.
So sector agnostic?
Not really, but we're open to all kinds of sectors. We're looking at gaming in Pakistan, so it's a good sector. France.
That can be easily exported also, the gaming sector.
It's easily exportable, and there are a couple of names in Lahore which are doing good. Game District, Game Storm Studios, so they're doing a good job. So we're exploring gaming. But one of the things that I've seen that is happening more and more here, that everybody's turning their apps or their service provision into AI enabled, which is a requirement.
Because it's a buzzword.
It's also a buzzword, and I think it's also partly a requirement now.
Yeah.
For instance,
it's like I'm using IT for my app. It's
Yes.
the same thing.
So AI for this. I've seen companies 2 years back which was a healthcare company with a proper healthcare app, but now their description says that AI enabled healthcare. So that's also, like you said, it's the buzzword, but at the same time, it's also a requirement. I mean, those apps which are not going to remain in AI, maybe they're just covering 10% of their actual potential that AI can do for them. But they have to, sort of augment or attach. You can get into that direction, because AI is going to.
You think it's going to be everywhere?
It's going to be everywhere. It's going to be revolutionary. I think, like everyone is talking about it. All these CEOs of big companies, their companies in the US, Amazon, and Facebook, everywhere. That it's going to be a revolution like the internet. We had the layer 1 where, there was one-way communication, and layer 2 was two-way communication. We're talking about something like the year 2000 and 2001 when the .com bubble came. And so it's going to be bigger than that, actually. It's going to change a lot of things.
I remember when I read the book of Yuval Harari about 21st lesson of 21st century. It's like we are enabled to imagine what the world will look like in 2050. 50. It's like it's impossible. It's like things are evolving so much with the AI and the robotics that we are enabled to at least imagine what's the world will look like.
Yeah, actually, it's unbelievable how things are. Information sharing has become very easy. When we were kids, you could not imagine, the kind of content you have on YouTube right now. I mean, the entire venture capital industry, or the entire stages of the industry, or the entire playbook can be understood simply by going to the internet. Mm-hmm. It has so much of open information. There's Wikipedia.
Everything is available.
Everything's available. That wasn't the case 25 years back.
Yeah, for me now it's like we enter an era, instead of like content creation, we need to content curation and really curate what is existing and filter it to some specific niches or specific type of content. I would love to have, since like you are in the 2-3 years now in the tech ecosystem in Pakistan, it was the dip years. Hope that is gonna go up again. But what is your general assessment of the ecosystem now?
In Pakistan? I think we've seen a couple of very tough years. And in the medium term, I think 3 to 5 year term, the next 3 to 5 years, I think the worst is behind us. We've seen very high interest rates. We've seen the highest. I've never seen interest rate going, to 18 or 20%.
20%, yeah.
That's crazy. So the worst is behind us, and for the founders and for the investors, 2025 is going to be a good year, and 26 is going to be even better. That's what I think. Nobody can predict about 2027. It's difficult to predict. I know someone who says that the definition of long-term, medium-term, and short-term have changed, especially vis-a-vis Pakistan, in the Gulf region. Things are, the geopolitical environment is changing, and that has an impact on everything. My advice to the founders with regards to geopolitical environment would be that, they should not focus too much on the geopolitical temporary disturbances, because if you do that, you lose track of what you're doing.
Right.
The main 3 cities, Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, and the top 10-15 metropolitan cities we have.
Right.
This is where the startup scene is mostly there. Mainly Karachi, Lahore, and Islamabad, where we have the incubators and all this support and everything. So if they start focusing on what's happening, 200 kilometers, down to South Waziristan, it's going to disrupt them. We have to be concerned. I'm not, I hope I'm not sounding heartless or something. Security situation and geopolitical situation is an issue, but at the same time, the founders need to focus on what they're doing And that's the best way to sort of evade it.
Doesn't have to be a blockage for us. And you were telling me, like, talking about the MENA region, you wanted to create offices in different part of the region. Is it to support Pakistani startups to be easily exportable to this market, or be like kind of a bridge to make Pakistani startups go in there, or just like open an investment to all the region as a hub? And like,
it's both. We want the Pakistani because we understand the ecosystem here a lot better. We know the system. We know a few companies that are doing well. We want to sort of bridge the gap, the funding gap for them. Access to capital has been the main challenge for founders last 2 years. They were going around with ideas, even with already established companies who were going into Series A round, and they were finding it difficult for their original backers to sort of come in and back them. So the purpose is to bridge that gap, and also to explore the potential that's there in UAE and Saudi Arabia,
right?
Because the level of potential is different over there. We find that some of the companies are more professional. Some of the, like for example, DIFC itself, there's so many.
The currency valuation also is much higher. So
yes.
It almost becomes like the dollar, the new dollars. I mean, like the Riyal Saudi and the dirham.
Yes,
in
the currency problem is there. The differential is going to be there. So investment ticket becomes smaller,
right?
Especially with regards to angel investment. But
what are your ticket size, by the way? I don't know what.
We are looking at 100K, 100 to 200K.
100 to 200
USD. That's what we're looking at. And we initially thought that even less than 200K would be useless. But as we see and as I've experienced in the last few years, there is a investment syndicate here, VC based out of Karachi. They do very small tickets. They do 25 to 50,000. And I used to sort of wonder, why do they do small tickets? And it's too small a size. But retrospectively, I think they have a perspective which is not wrong. What their perspective mainly is, and their point of view is, that if a startup has to become a unicorn, why invest 100 or 200K up front? Why not start with 50K and see them scale to a certain level? If they have to become unicorn, then the 50K investment is also good enough. Otherwise, everything goes bust. I'd like to refer to somebody. I was, in a webinar with the CEO of Sturgeon Capital, based out of London, and they said that in this playbook, 1 in 20 investments have to work. I think that's a bad figure, but if you can make it 1 in 10 investments, that would be
better.
It's a lot better.
10%.
Yeah, 10%. Even if you have one unicorn, that sort of covers for the entire losses, for the entire portfolio. One of the problems we've had in Pakistan, challenges with the ecosystem in Pakistan, is that we really don't have a homegrown unicorn. We have 2 to 3 companies like Zameen.com, which got converted into EMPG, and now Dubizzle operating. But then when they had to move to Dubai to become unicorns. And then Kareem was always based out of Dubai. And they came to Pakistan, and then now I don't know what the status is. I think that they're moving out because Empire was taking over and Yang was coming. So, and they got acquired by Uber, we know that story. So we don't have a homegrown unicorn like India. India has, I think, about 110 or 120 unicorns. And they have another 106. There's a term called Sunicorns. People valuation of 200 million to 1 billion USD.
Okay.
So they have 110 Sunicorns coming in. But that's I would like to mention that I was seeing the comment of one of the VC partners or managers in India, and they were saying in 2016, Indian government allocated 10,000 crores rupees of fund to this entire ecosystem. Now that's 30,000 crores of PKR right now. So 10,000 INR equivalent to 30,000 INR.
PKR.
Now that's a lot of money. It's a lot of conversion injected by the government. And that person was saying that, when I was in that room in the government, and there were, eyes were rolling that it's another government policy which is going to fail. But look at the Indian ecosystem in 2016 and look at it today. The number of unicorns they've created between 2016 and today. So that money, if Pakistan needs to do something like that, and the government is trying to do through the Ministry of Interior, Ministry of IT, these and National Incubation Center, they're all being covered privately. They will be privately run. Investors, they are private investors, but they all come under the ambit of Ministry of IT.
But I think it's unfair to compare Pakistan with India because India has really started into the technology businesses way before. They've really been exporting their tech services, their call center, their tech center also to the world. I think maybe 30 or 40 years before Pakistan started. Pakistan is still struggling to just export normal technical services. So for me, it was preparing the ground for creating those startups and those disruptive tech companies, and the bigger market, of course.
You're actually you're spot on. The market in India has far more developed because the overall tech adoption, the technology adoption, the software export services back in the .com bubble, they were into this since the 90s, the late 90s. We came in very late. I think we're at least 10 to 15 years behind, and that's a lot of time. But we have to bear in mind that technology transfer, the rate at which the technology is transferring all over the world is also massively reduced. The rate has improved, and then the time has reduced.
Right.
Because of WhatsApp and all these communicative apps, something that's done in San Francisco can be easily replicated in Delhi and in Islamabad or very easily. So that is something that we are hoping for, and that's the only reason why we would compare ourselves with India. Otherwise, in terms of market size and everything, obviously they're 1.2 billion. It's one of the biggest
market in the world.
Markets in the world. We are not that. But again, we are fifth or sixth in terms of population.
Right.
I like two people I've always been following in the VC world. One of them is Thomas Sao from Gobi Ventures, Fatima Gobi Ventures in Pakistan. So co-founder of Thomas G. Sao, based out of Malaysia. In 2020, in one of the webinars when I was listening, he was very gung-ho in Pakistan. He was very bullish. And he would say that you people can't see, but what we can see. We've seen this in China in 2003 and 2005. People used to say that, China will not be anywhere. And we've seen the same thing in India. And he would say that, Pakistan is the 2003 in China and the 2009 of Indonesia. This is exactly where we were. Because they have a portfolio of Indonesian investments also. Indonesia is also a big market, I think.
260 million.
Yeah, it's right behind us. But their tech ecosystem is more developed than us. So we can also question why we've not been able to leverage our population and everything. Because our tech adoption is clearly slower. So, and there's another gentleman from you may have heard, the company called Endeavor.
Yeah,
Endeavor Catalyst, I think Alan Taylor, they're also, they're very clear.
They are coming to Pakistan also.
They invest into the third world markets. And that's where they're very clear. And recently, very, very recently, we were talking to them and they were saying that you can't see, probably you think that what we are saying is out of, it's probably not making any sense to you. But 7 years from now, he said 5 to 7 years, give it 7 years. 7 years from now, Pakistan is going to be a totally different country. It's going to be another world. And whether the government supports or not, the technology is going to leapfrog it. It's going to, sort of circumvent it. Like we talked about Uber. Uber came in here. There was a problem in Lahore also, in the cities also. There was the Arfa Kareem Tower where the Minister for IT and the people were sitting, and there were issues there. There were a lot of protests and everything, but they eventually had to adapt.
Right.
Now, the same taxi drivers are using Uber to sort of, and the InDrive app to sort of go around and do this. So it's that adaptation that we're talking about.
Right.
So we will hopefully be different 5 to 7 years from now.
That's why we are here. I moved from Morocco and Paris to be here because I really believe in the MENA region, MENAP region as a hub, I think, of technology, because I think it's where it's happening. The Europe and US are a little bit in decline, so for me the biggest rate of evolution is happening here, even with all the hurdles and the politics, the social problems, and so. But I think it's a land of opportunity. And when I came first time in Pakistan in 2021, I was just so surprised about seeing all the youth and all these people just have 1 or 2% that are leading the way for disruption, as you say, in the region. I think it can create wonders.
Certainly. There is a lot of opportunity here because, as you see, the North American market and the European markets are they're going through difficult times, sluggish growth. They've done most of the growth and everything. Although the capital is always going to come from the US market, maybe the Chinese market as well. But right now, Pakistan, San Francisco is the hub for everything. So the capital is still going to flow from that market, and we are going to be dependent on that money. It's going to become different discussion, but after 2008, all countries have been printing a lot of money. So US has printed a lot of dollars. So the dollars have to come in from there, and that's going to sort of move things here in Pakistan. But overall, otherwise, there are a lot of opportunities in Pakistan. If we can manage the geopolitical situation and the security situation,
I think this is the main
issue that we're all concerned about. But like I said earlier, the young founders don't need to worry too much about it, because if they're creating something good, it probably in those main 20 cities is going to do well, is going to thrive, and then they have to first get operational in 3 cities. Most of the founders we meet are operational in 1 city, and they're planning to go to the second or third. So they're trying to go into these 3 main cities. So hopefully these 3 cities are going to remain better the way they are, and the geopolitical situation is going to improve. And when that does, I think Pakistan will bounce back. Inshallah.
Thank you very much, Sikandar, for your amazing insights and valuable ideas about the startup ecosystem. Thank you for being here this morning again, and we hope that it will inspire our audience in terms of entrepreneurs, founders, and also help us educate future angel investors in the ecosystem and inject more and more and more to be able to close that gap of investment.
Thank you so much. It was really nice meeting you.
Thank you.